wife's in there shopping. I thought maybe I would try my first Parastory while I've really got nothing better to do. I'm not a shopper. I have to have like a mission to complete. That's just me. I don't know, I guess we should probably start with an exciting story. Yeah, let me talk about the time that I landed in a tree, landing my paraglider in a tree. I was in the Winding Stair Mountains in Oklahoma, and of course, in spectacular fashion, Kyle screws up. So let me talk you through the screw up. I was surfing the ridge. There was somewhere between 5 and 8 pilots in the air, I believe, if memory serves correctly. By the way, these are all from memory. It's been a couple years since this one happened. Details are fuzzy, but I remember the important parts. So I'm flying on this ridge, and there's a lookout on the mountain where the scenic drivers pull over to take pictures and look at the scenery. Kind of the same view we have, except ours is 10 times better. And there was a congregation of people there, and I gotta admit, the crowd probably played a part in my decision. The lift was so good I could kind of travel down the mountain without having a solid bailout option. I did a pass by this crowd, and I wasn't particularly low, but I could hear them cheering and hollering and taking pictures. And I mean, there were about 20 people on the side of this mountain in a little pile, yelling and hollering and taking pictures. And so I came by and I did a little swoop kind of near them, didn't want to go over them, and went down the mountain, and I was able to climb back up and gain some altitude, and I'm free flying at this, by the way, no motor. And I come around and I did the same exact maneuver where I sort of just dove by them. It was all good, and there were even more cheers and applause and pictures, and it was really an enjoyable maneuver. It did put me sort of low, so it was a risk, just bad math. I did bad math, because the third time's a charm. I came around, and as soon as I made my turn, I realized that the conditions had picked up. Not a lot, and it wasn't noticeable, but when I turned, I was getting drilled. This is Future Kyle here. This is a picture I dug up off the internet. It's an actual picture of me going over the back the day this happened, taken by another pilot. You see the blue glider there on the back side of the hill next to the little overlook with the people? Yeah, that's me picking my tree right there. So back to the story. And it was glass smooth, but I was coming down right toward these people. It was fixing to be, you ever seen a game of bowling? Well, it was gonna be just like that. So I went left, and by going left, I knew that the decision would put me right smack in the middle of the best game of pick your tree you've ever played. And I gotta tell you, when you've gotta play the game, pick your tree, it's not good. It's not a fun game to play. But I had approximately 2.5 to 3 minutes to pick my tree before one got picked for me. My first option was big, bushy, top of the mountain. Oh, it was a chainsaw and ladder extraction. Oh, it was just I didn't want that option. So I moved on down the mountain some more. Too gnarly, too dead, too big, not bushy enough. And as I went down the mountain, I saw there was a pine thicket that I probably could have made, but the further I go, the further I've got to go to get out of here. It's the middle of nowhere, guys. Middle of mountains, Oklahoma, nowhere. Some old Indian trails if you want to do that. I found a tree right in a ravine. It was in between 2 slopes that centered up, obviously where the water comes through. And there were some real bushy, thinner trees that had kind of long fingers sticking up. I picked one of the fingers that, I could see this thing from 100 yards away. I kind of had it picked and I eyeballed it, and I could see the limbs were roughly big enough around that when I hit them, I wouldn't smack like Wile E. Coyote, but they wouldn't break off either. I wanted something that I could hold on to. I picked my tree and I did my approach. I turned into the wind and I picked my spot right there on those limbs, and I flew that so that the limb would hit me right in the armpit, right as I full stalled the glider. When I felt it and I stalled the glider and I felt my weight lean on the branch, I just grabbed it with both hands. Never let it go, just went into a ball like a pole vaulter. I pole vaulted straight down through the canopy of this forest. When it was done, I was still hanging onto the limb, and I opened my eyes and I was about a foot off the ground, and I put my feet down on a rock, just boop, and I was there. Yeah, I was standing there. I got hold of this limb, my feet are on a rock. There's leaves and branches and debris falling, mostly leaves. Mostly leaves were just raining down in this, like I kept my shoulders drawn up like something big might be fixing to hit me. Nothing big fell. When it all stopped, I let go of the limb and shot up like a slingshot. Just whoosh. Lines were leading up to the glider. I gathered all the lines and I went tug, tug, and the wing fell down right beside me. And another shower of leaves, of course. And that was it. Standing on a rock in the middle of this ravine in a forest. hooked to my paraglider that's in a ball beside me with about 10 pounds of leaves in it, and everything was fine. There was no damage. I didn't know that then. I inspected it later. The glider sustained 0 damage. There was a couple of green streaks on it. I mean, how lucky can you get? It was luck. It was all luck. Man, I'd like to think that it has some skill played into it, but you know, I could have picked a different tree. I don't know. All the stars aligned on that one. I was quite a bit of luck on that one. Man, so I just landed my paraglider in the trees. Screwed up, got too low, went over the back, and it's pretty gnarly where I landed. I picked the softest, littlest thing I could get to. I grabbed a hold of it and I just kind of rode a tree down like you would when you were a kid. And now I gotta hike up this hill. My only regret is I should have crashed higher up. So I even got my glider out of the tree. It just pulled right down. So I don't even think it's damaged. I don't know. I'll check it later. I'm gonna fold it up and get out of here before it gets dark. Out. Most tree landings, you don't get that luck. You usually have to extract them, cut limbs, crawl up them again. My punishment was I had to walk up the backside of that mountain. I had water and I had daylight, and I was able to communicate as well. I better throw the safety stuff in there. And I said, Kyle is going over the back. I'm fixing to land in a tree. Confirmed, Kyle's landing in a tree. And they confirmed it back on the radio and said, good luck. So I did get the message that I was going down, but I also wanted to get the message out that I was safe and unharmed and did not need assistance to get back. After I got the glider down and I was standing there and everything was fine, I wasn't hurt, adrenaline wore off a little bit, I immediately got on the radio. I communicated radio first, and there was a mountain between us, so there was no radio contact. But I had a minor cell connection. I couldn't call. The calls weren't going through. But I texted my wife, and I texted Britton in the air, the kind of the lead pilot of the group there. Texted them that I was okay and I was coming out and I didn't need any help. And I walked up that mountain, the walk of shame. Never do tricks for the crowd. Not that I was doing tricks, it's a bad thing, man. I made the bad decision, I paid the toll, but I'm paid up now. Better decisions in the future, that's the lesson here. And I'm gonna let that be the first one, guys. Tell me what you think. Myself, Kyle out.